Welcome back to the broadcast, and we have Shamshir Burke here from ZERO1, who's going to take us through an evening session.
Welcome back, everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of leading this after-hours event as part of the Gray Area Festival. I'm Shamshir Burke. I'm the Executive Director of ZERO1. We're co-located with Gray Area in the Grand Theater on Mission Street, and we've been working a lot around international collaborations specifically and arts education. And the program that we're going to share with you tonight, a series of works from this program, is one that draws on both of those areas. So this is an international exchange program in which artists come together through these 1 month long incubators to collaborate together and rapid prototype that address a local social challenge in their community. So the program is called American Arts Incubator. It's a project that is a collaboration between ZERO1 as the implementing organization and the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. So essentially, like many of you probably know about Fulbright exchanges or exchanges of that nature. This is kind of like a Fulbright for new media artists, and specifically new media artists who are applying their craft to the social realm and to work in community in collaborative space. So this year, as you can imagine, the incubators that we normally run abroad through in-person exchange were disrupted somewhat. And what we had to do is quickly pivot to running virtual exchanges, bringing people together on video. And this first exchange that we're going to visit with actually got interrupted midstream. So American Arts Incubator Brazil was led by artist Santiago X, who's here with us tonight. And Santiago flew to Belo Horizonte in Brazil, started off a series of workshops there with a group of participants. And then about a week in, travel restrictions started to set in around the globe in relation to the pandemic. So we flew Santiago back, and he very graciously completely redesigned his curriculum to be able to finish up the exchange and pivot to online delivery. And the project that we're going to be presenting tonight is called Retomada. It fits really beautifully within the theme of the Gray Area Festival, looking at adjacent possible futures and really thinking about the world with a systems approach, thinking about ecosystems, thinking about resources, thinking about colonialism in new ways. So yeah, I would like to start off by just asking you, Santiago, to tell us a little bit about the exchange. Tell us about what AI Brazil is all about.
Yeah, this entire experience was pretty incredible. From being lucky enough to travel to Brazil and to experience the culture and interact with the participants in this particular exchange and incubator, and get to know them personally and kind of like bounce off of each other what direction we want to go, through this incubator, using art and technology and what kind of issues we were facing at the time, and then being pulled out of Brazil. Like, I really didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. It was such an incredible place, but we got to pivot and morph this experience and this response into something that was really salient, really pertinent to now, and you'll see in the experience in the virtual world that they created, all the complexities and all the layers of the narrative, it's so poignant, and Gideon and Beatriz will explain to you, what Retomada is, through their eyes, what art and technology has, how they use that tool set to create this portal for introspection and for reflection, for ourselves and society and the world. And it was a priceless experience for me, and you can see it in the work that the participants really use this moment in time and these tools to create something really beautiful. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. The space is really beautiful and draws you in. I think there's a way in which you feel like you go layer upon layer down into this imagined space and a space for reflection. So with that, maybe we'll turn our attention to the space itself, and I'll give a few logistical cues for folks who are watching the stream or folks who are listening in to the lounge. So if you're listening into the lounge, take a look over at the conversation chat on the right, and you should see that Maya has kindly chatted a link to the Mozilla Hubs for the Retomada project. And you can click on that, open a separate tab, and join us in the Hubs. For all of you who are watching the live stream, the simplest way to get to the Hubs is actually to go to the Gray Area Festival webpage, so grayareafestival.io /schedule, or you can click program in the upper right-hand corner. And if you scroll down to this event on the program and click on Exhibition Tour 01, you'll get a full description of what we're up to tonight, and you'll also see the artists' names lower down the page. And that is where you can click through to each of the virtual spaces we'll be touring tonight. So we're in the Brazilian space at the moment. Great. Okay, so I myself have opened up a separate tab. I've dropped into Retomada, and I'm in this dark black space that those of you who are watching on the live stream or in the lounge can also see as the live tour video. It's much smaller though, so I recommend getting into the space. I'm looking at a dark room with some mostly black columns rising up, as well as a sort of 360 image. It's moving above me like a kind of moving cloudscape. Kijono Beatriz, can you tell us a little bit more about this space?
Hello, I'm Beatriz, an artist from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. In this first space, we actually have 3 zones in total. This is the first one. We started the first zone that you are right now, thinking about Contorno Avenue as a barrier of cultural and economic access, as a symbol of economic inequity. Contorno Avenue delimits the urban center of our city, Belo Horizonte, and is an area that concentrates museums, tourist spots, universities, and neighborhoods with high costs of living. The video that wraps the zone that you can see at the ceiling was made in a ride through Contorno. The entrail at the ground can guide you through the 3 zones. We wanted that this first place represented a stage nature showed its strength as a result of human attempt to conduct it according to our desires. At the beginning of this year, Belo Horizonte had its streets and avenues flooded and landslides over the city due to the rampant piping of our rivers. The precarious urban in peripheral areas caused landslides and the death of some of these areas' residents. An emblematic image of these floods was the explosion of this river that escaped its own block barriers in a violent way. A video record of this moment can be seen at one of the buildings. You're seeing it right now. That's where Aroda's River kind of flooded. Also in the buildings are messages that reflect our current state. We believe that the floods were a strong signal that we cannot continue to have the same relationship with nature and humanity of the last years. We also wanted to approach the frontier and destructive state in which we find ourselves through the gray tones of the zone. So we made this room dark and because we wanted it to show state is destructive, how we cannot continue with this same relationship with nature. You can also see some animals in the streets. These are animals that we see often in Belo Horizonte, but with coronavirus, the pandemic, and with these animals started to show up really more and more. And they are part of this nature resumption too. I have to say, retomada can be translated resumption, can be translated as resumption, actually. If you cross this river following the ant trail, you come to some tracks. There, you have a link to Zone 2.
So before we transition into the next space, Beatriz, I just wanted to jump in and comment on a couple of things I'm seeing that I think are really beautifully done in this space. I like that you've mixed this, photorealistic imagery, footage of the actual floods. And as I understand it, just to make sure everybody is capturing this detail, the flooding was really devastating this past year in Brazil. For those of us in California, thinking about the fires recently, it's all part of this disruption that we're experiencing globally, where really extreme weather is becoming the new reality. And there in Belo Horizonte and the region surrounding, I understand there's a strong history of mining and disruption of the earth. And the great tragedy about this recent landslide that killed so many villagers is that many of those people, I believe, worked in the mines themselves, right? So they were both put out of work by these mines being closed down, and then ultimately their lives, many of them lost their lives to what was left, the environmental devastation that was left. One of the things I'm really loving about the river that we're crossing following the ant trail, this is another detail I want to make sure everybody is capturing, that they're the smallest creature in the river are the ants on the floor. So if you haven't found them yet and you're in the Retomada space with us, look for these small sort of yellow-orange creatures on the floor and follow their trail, and they will guide us into the next space. I'll let you take us again further into the tour.
Shamshar.
Yes.
1 minute and we proceed to another run. So a curiosity, please look at the ground. It's a real version of the map of the central part of the Belo Horizonte, part of the chaotic zone taken by progress, which we question so much. So the contour avenue is so the contour avenue, it's both on the ground and in the sky, and this room. Oh, another room. So a little detail.
Você terminou sua fala, Gideon?
Yes, terminei. Meu áudio mudou?
Ok. Oh,
We might have missed a little bit of your audio, Gideon. I'm sorry if that didn't come through. I was breaking up for me a little bit.
So sorry.
okay, we're now at Zone 2. Can I start talking about it? Shamshar was saying, we live in Belo Horizonte. It's capital of the state of Minas Gerais. Here, the mining activity is very present, and as a result, we had a lot of problems and destructions of populations and cities due to landslides, due to the mining. Zone 2 presents one more instance of destruction by humanity. In our state, Minas Gerais, the mining activity is very present. Now Yanomami, a Brazilian indigenous leader and think, once compared Earth dismantling caused by mining to armadillo's action. With the destruction comes the opening of holes. All the land support is compromised and exposed. If nature and us are inseparable, as one body, the Earth's destruction exposes its organs. So we have like kind of trees with these red colors, like organs exposed. And if you continue and following the ant trail, you also find bones. You also find the armadillos like caving next to tractors. It also talks about this destruction of the earth and is exposing our organs. If you think about nature and us as just one body that we actually are.
Yeah, beautiful. I love the large tree-like structures that really do have a flesh-like quality to them. There is a sense of moving inside of a large body. It's beautiful. And I also noticed that the ants are getting larger. Is there something about their presence that's growing as we move through the space?
Yes, and in Zone 2, we wanted to show, of course, this destruction, but we also wanted to make it a transition zone with nature taking back its space and living at the same time with this destruction. So the ants are getting bigger because they represent kind of we have a saying in Brazil that translates as work of an ant. That's like means a lot of getting together, and with the little work of each of us, we have like a bigger work that it means something really. And we wanted these ants to represent like the action of us against this destruction of nature.
There's something really beautiful about the title that you've chosen, as we're moving through this space. The term retomada, when I first heard it, I thought I translated it myself as a taking back. Retomar, you thinking of Spanish, to take back, and to think about possession, I think, as the kind of central concept. But the way you've translated it as resumption, I think is actually a really generous and poetic way to interpret the word in English, where the taking back, the return to nature, the reclamation is actually about beginning again and less about possession or taking ownership over. So there's a really beautiful poetry in that word. I love that you chose that term. Is there anywhere else in this second space that you'd like us to draw our attention to, or should we keep following the ants into the third space?
Well,
And
Beatrice?
pode falar, Guido.
Nice. So the central part, for example, in the second run is the middle ground between the vision of the destruction, the expose of the bones of the earth and the mountains, which you can see in the left, and the constant resumption or retomada by the nature and by the human conscience to the destruction caused by humanity. And the next run, you can see the final part of this conception. I think, right? Hello, did I get it?
I also would talk about this hole you see in the middle. That we created these three zones, thinking about it as kind of complementary in terms of its space distribution. So zone 1 is like the center, zone 2 is the peripheral area around the center, and you see zone 2, zone 3, I mean, you see zone 3 continues this logic.
So for everyone who's experiencing the space and watching online, I think it's worth letting you know or reminding you that this is all produced within a 1 month long exchange. So the space that we're visiting right now was created by the team, by Gideon and Beatrice, and a few others who are listed there, all within the space of really like 10 days. This is a prototype of an idea where within a week or so, they learned the skills required working with Santiago to build this virtual space. And we're conceptually working together to think about how to create these representations and really compute the moment that they were living through in Brazil at that moment and turn it into what you see now. So it's a really impressive accomplishment, I think. I just want to applaud you for making such a beautiful, immersive space in such a short amount of time that really, to someone who's sitting here in California, I think communicates a lot about the place where you are and the things you're thinking about, how you're experiencing your environment. So it looks like the live tour here is taking us through to the third space. We're just loading up. We'll experience that space, hear a little bit more about that, and then move on to another AI exchange. While that's loading up, I wonder, Santiago, if there's anything else you'd like to say about the process here or what it was like working with this team in particular and helping them bring their vision to fruition.
Yeah, working with this team, this team is kind of a powerhouse. They had a really diverse skill set and kind of range of artistic abilities and understandings, and what kind of the continuity between everyone's kind of approach, to make this a really focused project. And you can kind of see how that manifested so kind of effortlessly and beautifully is we started to really just to try to digest humanity and the reciprocation of our existence and the earth, and these kind of themes, and the concentric circles being pushed out, and there's just so many layers there's so much richness, there's so much thought. This is just like all of the content was kind of bubbling in them, and in a matter of like you said, 10 days to learn this. They learned this tool, hubs and spoke and web VR in like 1 weekend, and then ran with it. And we had like 2 weeks to create a final project, like 11 days actually. And this is what they came up with in that amount of time, and no one had any prior experience to this platform. And it was just amazing. I don't understand how it all happened so beautifully, but it did. And it's so rich, and I applaud this team forever. And the fact that it can live on in this realm forever is speaks multitudes to kind of the experience and what you're creating through ZERO1, through the American Arts Incubator. And it's just amazing, and I hope it keeps going.
Awesome, thank you, Santiago. So it looks like we're having a little bit of trouble loading up the hubs on the tour here in the video lounge, but hopefully you all are able to get in there on your own machines and join us. Maybe as that's loading up, hopefully everyone will be able to see it in a moment. Gideon or Beatrice, could you tell us a little bit about that third space where we're headed? Tell us about the future.
So the third zone is our utopia zone. The land returns to its original perspectives, and the trail is now populated by trees, ideas, and speeches about the future, about the present, about the estimate that everyone has in relation to the world. we see the end of this journey as a dynamic of possibilities that can still be reached, estimating and stimulating the awareness process in relation to the process that can still be built by our society. It's like the real retomada. No, it's what's my words? So
like the realization of the ideal.
yes, the resume, the real resumption in English. It's so confused that word. So it's the real personalization, not only our work, but our idea to the future. In fact, can complete, Beatrice?
Yes, I think this word was made really with what the group think about the future, think about a better future for us. So it's very personal, but I think everybody also can connect with it.
So I think we may have some trouble streaming into the video lounge. So again, if everyone can visit the hub space on their own, that's the way to see Retomada. I'll just repeat the web address to all of the AI Brazil. Could you mute yourself if that's possible? So the quick and easy way to get to see all 4 projects that were created during the incubator in Brazil is to go to aaibrazil.com. That's AAIBRAZIL.com. That is a great, it's a really beautifully made site by everyone who's involved in the incubator, led by Santiago. And I encourage you to check out the other virtual spaces that were created there as well. So with that, I think we'll turn our attention to the next group of AI artists. I want to thank you so much, Santiago, John, Beatriz. Really appreciate all the effort you put into this work and for sharing it with us tonight. You can go ahead and leave the conversation and then join back in, listen back in for what's coming up next. And I'll start inviting in the artists who were involved in the Peruvian incubator in Lima. So just be patient with us for a moment while we do that. And I'm also going to chat for everyone who's here with us in the lounge. I'm going to chat the link to the Peru virtual gallery so you can check that out, start loading that up. This one is, it's recommended that you open it in Mozilla, in Firefox, I should say. So the next link, the one that I just chatted to you, or if you're going through the Gray Area website, make sure to open up that link to the Peruvian projects with Firefox. Great. Okay, bringing Gabriel into the room. Hey, welcome. Gabriel, as I'm inviting everybody in, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the incubator in Peru, which you led entirely virtually. We didn't get to send you at all, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but I feel like I almost got to go there through the experience. Yeah, so you know, really an amazing experience. While I didn't get to go in person to Peru, I was able to conduct the entire exchange virtually, and I think it's I have to step back sometimes and think about how amazing it is that we have all of these platforms that allow us to interact with each other, across the planet. So yeah, I just have to step back and think about that sometimes. It's pretty amazing. Even with all of the technical challenges we had, it actually completely transformed really the way I was approaching the exchange. I mean, we were originally planning on utilizing a lot of digital fabrication within UTEC, which was our host institute. We were going to have a installation within the Contemporary Art Museum in Lima, and none of that was able to happen. So I reframed it to look at the same topics, which for our exchange were we were tasked with looking at the challenge of urban development in Lima, and particularly I wanted to frame that within the context of urban health, social equity, and climate change, and to think about speculative futures for the year 2100 in Lima. So the title of the work was Collective Resilience Through Adaptive Urbanism. And everybody kind of took a different perspective, and also using different mediums to interrogate this idea of what that meant for them. So yeah, so the final exhibition, which you'll see here, was also created just in 10 days. And it's actually a recreation of one of the exhibition spaces in the Contemporary Art Museum in Lima. So it was the first time we were actually all able to come together in one room and look at all of the artwork displayed as if it was an actual curated exhibition at the MAC Lima, but all digital, of course. So that was pretty incredible. Similarly, we use Mozilla Hubs for that, but the work you'll see is various mediums, a lot of collage, use of GIFs, videos, and some really incredible work. So hope you're able to check it out.
Great, thank you, Gabe. So it looks like we've got the live tour up and running again. You can see our beautiful avatar looking around in the virtual space in Lima. If you are not in there yet, please join us. Maybe we can turn to some of the participants. Giovanna, Cristina, Leonardo, Gisette, welcome. If any of you would like to start, please unmute yourself and maybe take us somewhere within the space and talk to us about one of the works that we're seeing.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Christina, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I read because my English is so bad. I just want to share a couple of ideas about my experience in America's Art Incubator. It changed me a lot because I could listen to learn from and be part of the collective of people that do many things and do not share my same ideas and goals. And I learned a lot to Gabriel. And in my case, I present a video that try to respond to this question about why does society make us women competitors and opponents. And we put a lot of pressure in our hands and bodies. We try to fit the narratives and expectations from other women and men. And I believe that art is a tool for the construction and dismantling these stereotypes that limit us personality and also as a collective and impede us from learning from the parallel, albeit similar or different journey of other women. And I had the privilege to meet other women through knitting and weaving before and during the project. My proposal used fabrics to digital create a 3D textile that recreates our movement and highlights our different voices. Knitting and weaving has been associated with the domestic chores and the subjugation of women, but this is wrong. I usually explore that weaving and knitting is also a place of resistance to provide voice of the silenced bodies. Knitting and waving is a cognitive process that allows us to listen and be heard. I have learned knitting from my mother, and this process has made us both together and learn from each other. For example, that is why my project is called Texere, which means in Latin "kainib," to build, which is what we need to build communities for women and listen to each others. And thus my project consists of bringing together other women, establishing a dialogue free of stereotypes, asymmetrics, and negative difference. I strongly believe that we can find place of mutual understanding and knit together with other diversities. And this project, it's not over yet. Maybe we can start knitting or a street with VR, and hopefully when it is more safe to do. So thank you for your time. it's all. Okay.
Thank you, Christina. This is great. Okay, so whoever would like to speak next, if you can give us some guidance so you can see where we are in the gallery now. You can see an avatar moving through the space. Tell us where to move to get to the next piece that you'd like to talk to us about.
Let's see, maybe if we go back to the beginning, we could go over to Giovanna's work, which is just to the other side of the entrance.
Hi, I'm Sanchar, and hi everybody. My project is on the hand left. Yes. Well, in our program, we wonder about the global context around COVID, its impact on us, and the way in which we connect. The pandemic has stopped us, and this has makes me think about human lives and its value over injustice, traditions, and ignorance. Also, in the experience and process that we go through for begin a life, the constant transformation of our realities and the footprint we leave in a community. In my opinion, I recognize ourselves in adaptation, time, process, and memory. And this memory is also full of emotion and reflections that will be shown in the future. This is how my project, Ancestors and Future, are created as a fusion of digital and cultural elements. Well, in the Ayacuchan traditions, when one passes away, there is a 5-day ceremony in which the family comes together to remember, forgive, and clean. We keep vigil over the body, finish conversations that we couldn't during their lifetime, understanding that their energy is still present, but will soon move on. Finally, we collectively gather by the shores of the river to play, laugh, and cry. The running water taking our pain, and the morning sun researching us while drying our tears. And during the era of internal conflict and terrorism in Peru, many were unable to say goodbye to their relatives. In Ayacucho also, many didn't even know that this was happening, but the losses were left. were felt. Sorry. People died without saying goodbye to their loved one. The salts of decades, the salts of descents are present in the lands they inhabited through the burials of their bodies. This is what happened with my grandmother, who, when she dies, her soul went to stay in the most important tree in her town. But today, in the age of COVID, we have to see high numbers of deaths per day. Today, we have to call a stranger so that their body can return as ashes in a box. And this was, for me, the experience that I can have with the program. Yes, thanks.
Work. The layers of pattern and imagery are incredibly evocative. I love how there's a sense of kind of imagined future in some of those generated objects, and then a sense of tradition and natural texture as well, with the flowers, the earth, the landscape, really beautifully displayed.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the QR codes, unfortunately, I have not re-updated, but if you come back in here next week, I'll update them, and it leads to a really amazing 3D model that Giovanna created. So.
Yes, I can send the link.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All of those who are in the space, I noticed, Gabe, you also chatted to us that if you right click on a work, it will fill your screen. So if you're approaching a work, or if you're crowded by other avatars and can't quite see the work clearly, make sure to right click on it, and then you'll get a full view.
Yeah, and Giovanna just sent a link to the Sketchfab file. And what you can do with that actually is, if you go to download in the Sketchfab file, you can go to download a USDZ file, which is an augmented reality. If you download that on your phone, you can then have the augmented reality of her model in your living room or wherever you're at. So yeah. Maybe we could go over to Hesed's work, which is just to our left.
Great, and as we do that too, I'll also, Lonnie might be joining us as well. But as we move over to Hesed's work, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are nearing the top of the hour, so we're going to be moving into a more casual lounge space. If you want to start conversations outside of this main conversation, where we're going to continue touring galleries, please feel free to do that within the lounges. The artists who are sitting there or listening in are eager to talk with you all, so please do start up conversations of your own. Here in this conversation, we're going to spend a little more time here with the Peruvian artists, and then we're going to move into a tour of the AAI Columbia gallery space. So just said, please tell us about your project.
Hi. Well, thank you for the invitation. It's really an honor to share this afternoon with all of you. And I'm going to talk about my experience in the program. The experience in the program has been a spark of many ideas that were in my head since I began to interested and experiment with technology and its relationship to generate pedagogical experience. I greatly value and honor the people with whom I've been able to learn and share. And as a museum educator and visual artist, Gabriel's exercise on thinking about the future made me think about how the relationships that we generate with our history and the so-called heritage are transformed now with new technologies. So what new narratives can be generated. This is how the decolonial augmented reality or realidad aumentada decolonial project was born. It's an exercise of citizens mediation that proposed us to visit Lima, making use of augmented reality to break the presence and review the monuments of Lima from a decolonial and anti-patriarchal point of view. To reveal this discourse that are replicated in the urban dynamic of Lima. And if you, I know that the QR codes are not functioning right now, but I'm going to pass the link and you can see just the preview of what I was able to do in this in the program with all my partners, and it was really cool to learn all about these other tools to build or to deconstruct this monument that is so important in Lima and not for the good reasons. So thank you.
So I guess we can go to Leo's work, which is just to also to kind of the right of the entrance. Follow me. I could lead us over there. So, let's see, Leo. Where are you, Leo?
It's like on the right hand of the collection.
Yes.
And then to the center.
Oh, there you are. Oh no, I totally had you in the wrong spot. Yeah, you're up over here.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate the Brazilian exposition, really meaningful project about how we see our places, and I think that's what I value about this experience. I mean, we can during all the workshops, I think we value the new experiences we saw, and that's what I like recapitulate on my work. So I see Lima as this place where million of like a storytelling about us, about our people, about ours, about how we live in Lima. And I use psychogeography in order to portray these visions. See these three collages that talk a little more about my own experience in Lima, but also the experience that I could like gather from other people that I like. What I try to explain in here is not like the problems we see in the city, but how we feel the city, along with the shape of the map of this metropolis. About one common theme that we all have here in Lima, that is the public transportation, that we almost see it as chaos and disorganization, but it also makes, you can see once that you get into the public transportation, it's like this place where a lot of people meet, not only in a sense of on people in here. So the next one, it's like a more personal one, a little more about the memories, the people that you have in here, and how does your experience in Lima also are surrounded by you. So this is like this is this is like a very important part on how we create our visions in Lima. And the third part, it's like a more places that identify the city for you, not only like in like a historical values way, because we tend to see Lima as this historic place that is full of culture, or but also this place that you create a history, that you have your own visions and your own places that you are identify as, and creates this perspective that you have around the city. So I wanted to, it's called Nuestra Lima, or Lima Nuestra, that it's like our Lima, our story, our identity, and how we create this to make this city like a better place, a place that, well, the workshops is, it's resilience. So we must create resilience about our own story, you know, and I think that's the important part about this. So yeah, that's basically the.
Thank you, Leo. I'm resonating with the public transit imagery in this moment where we've all been isolated in our own home spaces, and public transit has become this impossible thing. I think about cities like Lima, and how impossible it must be for communities to connect, and for people to both be safe and also move about the city at the same time. So somehow these images are nostalgic. Great.
Yeah, more general vision. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you all. So we are sort of burning through some time here. I think it's time to move on to the next gallery, but I really do encourage everybody to spend more time in this AEI Peru virtual gallery. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. Everyone who's sticking around, I hope you can also have some side conversations in the video lounge and talk more, dive a little deeper if you're able. So thank you very much, Giovanna, Cristina, Leonardo, Joseph, and Gabe for leading us through this space. You're all welcome to leave the conversation and come back in as listeners. And I will invite in some of the artists from AEI Colombia.
Thank you, Samshir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
Maya.
you.
Valentina, welcome.
Muted.
Great, and Wendy, welcome in. And you are both welcome to mute yourself straight away, just so we don't get too much audio overlapping. Great. For those of you who are in the video lounges with us, Gabe has just chatted a link to a mural collaboration that was a series of postcards to the future created by those same participants from AEI Lima, thinking about their city and urban futurity. So please take a look at that. And as everybody is transitioning into the AEI Colombia space, I think it's probably time for me to share the link to that Art Steps gallery. So we're going to a different type of virtual space for this last tour. Art Steps is its own separate platform for creating virtual gallery space. It's not open source Mozilla Hub's platform. It also has really beautiful rendering. And this one difference you'll notice is that we are not going to be avatars in the space together. So each of you will be having your own independent experience moving through the gallery space.
Excuse me, Shamshir, I think Juliana is at the listener's place.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Valentina. I will go and grab her now. There she is. And has Hansel joined us? I'm not sure.
I thought I saw him earlier, but I haven't seen him. Let me look in the list.
Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing Hansel at the moment either, but if you're watching us on the live stream, Hansel, please do come back into the video lounge and feel free to join us and chat when you're back so that I know to come and invite you in. And welcome Juliana also, bienvenidas. And you can also mute yourself to start, and then we'll unmute when you'd like to speak. So similarly to how we started last time with Gabe, I'd love to turn to you first, Wendy, and just have you give us a little bit of context about this exchange, which was based virtually in Barranquilla, but also involved participants from across Colombia. Ina is based in Medellin. So please, yeah, tell us a little bit about.
Yeah. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Wendy, and this lab we called Laboratorio en las Fronteras, and it was really designed to center the artist's voice as we look together at the. Oops, I'm getting a lot of. Can you hear me still?
Wendy, you're muted as well at the moment, actually. So if you can just unmute.
Oh, I unmuted it doesn't say I'm muted.
We had to mute everybody in order to mute Juliana, so yours was muted in the process.
Okay, got it. So now,
yeah.
Okay, backtrack. So we're looking at migration, statelessness, identity, focusing on the Colombian-Venezuela border region. And we really wanted to leverage storytelling, image making, and technology to really kind of just enlarge the narratives of the migrants and their lived experience on the ground. So the biggest challenge we faced as a group going into it was COVID, and how could we, everyone was quite concerned at the beginning of, we can't tell the stories of others without them there. And so which was so beautiful to me that that was not a concept that I needed to introduce. These artists already held it. And it felt very much that this experience was going to be not only about the work that we created and could show, but the process of its creation. And so we began to focus very carefully on how we collaborated, who we were to one another, because we quickly realized that the stories that must be told now are our own stories. And it was a little uncomfortable for some at the beginning. Everyone really, the kind of poetry that came out of this lab was about their own lived experience, the poetry of the experience of the migrant that is ourselves. And it was we began and ended every lab with a story circle. We came together in really different ways. We checked up on each other via text. There were meetings in between our group meetings to make sure that we were all okay, and that the vulnerability and the openness that was being created in the light of this work was being held by each one of the artists in the group. And so it feels very much like our Art Steps experience is a blueprint for what we would like to do in Barranquilla, in the streets of communities, as public art. And that this experience, we embedded, we did some 3D modeling within the space, we embedded augmented reality in selected works, and we used some still visual art, some photography, some video, some sound design, and that standing in front of each work in this virtual space is its own narrative of migration, both personal and geographic and metaphorical. These artists are extraordinary, and I really want to be quiet and have Juliana and Valentina take you through the space, because it really does now belong to all of them. And we can't wait to work with the museum in Barranquilla to realize something together, maybe even as soon as late next year, if we can beat this COVID thing. But Valentina, you want to jump in first, potentially?
Hi, everyone. I'm really honored to be here and to be sharing this space with you guys. I really liked what the incubator in Peru and Brazil resulted in. It was beautiful. And so, yeah, as Wendy told you, we were thinking that we're going to be in the warm streets of Barranquilla, creating our, I don't know, our creations. It might sound redundant, but that's the thing. But because of COVID, we have to do it all virtually. But it was also a great challenge for all of us. And I think that, I mean, when you talk about migration, you know that all of us in our family, even ourselves, have a story related to migration. So it was kind of easy to do something with it, but at the same time, like for me, it was too personal, and I was like, I mean, this is too personal. Can everybody resonate with it? And the thing is that yes, that's how we even came up with the name My Story, Many Stories, because we found out that the things that we've been going through, maybe other person went through already. So yeah, so I don't know why the museum that we created is not loading in my, because I want to.
Maybe what you can do, Valentina, is give us some guidance verbally, and then we can have the live tours walk into
Yeah,
the place.
yeah, because mine is not loading, so maybe we can do it.
There at the entrance.
Yeah.
Great, we're
So
walking in now.
actually a model from the actual Museo de Arte Moderno in Barranquilla. So, I mean, hopefully we're gonna have our pieces there someday. So yeah, and we had in that, yeah, there. So those are like fragmentos. Oh, no. Can you go back, please?
Yeah, just as we were entering the space there on the wall, there's a list of the 4 thematic areas.
Yeah,
we covered.
we have all of our creations divided by 4 like 4 moments, if you might call them. Fragmentos, reconfiguración de la identidad, refugio, y movimiento y quietud. So we have to pick one of those to see where our creation might fit better. So yeah, and if you go like to the and you also need Artivibe to watch some of these pieces, and it's a really cool app that you can download on your phone.
I just chatted the link to Artivive into the video lounge for those of you who are with us. Yeah, and if you search Artivive on your device, all of the pieces in the gallery that have an augmentation have the little A letter beside them. And you can hold your phone or tablet up to your screen as you're touring through the gallery to get that extra layer.
Valentina, let's go to your piece and talk about that journey of creating there. So if you could head to the back room, like the back on the right there. Let's see if we can get there. Oh, there it is. You see the to the right a little more? And then the other right, the other way, the left. No. Yeah. Okay. No.
Here we can. I'll see if I can guide us over there.
It was that little.
Slowly scan to the right. There's a large room that has a large video screen in it, and there's a person on a toboggan. Yeah, behind the black wall. So
behind the black wall.
Behind that wall.
Yeah, it is.
The large panel on the left.
Yeah,
talk about that.
So that's my piece. It's called "You Made Me Lose My Accent." Me hiciste perder el acento. And I mean, the process, it's really hard. I mean, because I remember that I was talking to Wendy and I wanted to do like this kind of big performance at the beginning. And when I was doing it, actually, I felt like writing this piece. And then I showed it to Wendy and I was like, this is completely different from what I told you about. And it is something really personal. It is like a spoken word piece, and that's a picture of me and my cousins. That picture is from 1997. It's in Staten Island, New York. And then if you take your phone and put it in front of that picture with the Artivive app, you get the video with my spoken word, where I'm actually telling like a personal story from my experiences as a migrant, and other stories that I've been told. And yeah,
Tina, can I share the link to the video?
of course, yes.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat.
And as Wendy's sharing the video link, Juliana, maybe you can tell us a little bit as well about one of the spaces in the gallery or your work in the gallery.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so nervous too because my English is not too good when I want to talk, but I really want to try because the American Arts Incubator was an important experience for me because before the program, I mean, I always I usually do many things about the other people, about others. And the program was a platform, was an opportunity where I can do something about my experience, my own experience, like a migrant. So, yes, first I would like to say that despite of the virus situation, we had an incredible sessions where we could explore different concepts such as migration, migration as human experience, as emotional experience, and also the borders and the body, our bodies, like our home, our house. Okay. I think that in the program we were wondered many things about migration, and in my personal case, as Valentina, from my personal experience, because I was a migrant in the States. So from my experience, I want to say many things because it was a hard situation. We are Latin girls, and it was hard in the States, as you know. So my piece, I don't know how, but my piece name is Temporal Correspondence, and the piece emerged when I wrote 6 cards to my past I don't know how can I say that, but it is a fiction where I explore which things I want to say to my old I
Yourself.
that was a migrant. And from these letters emerged 6 videos where I explore the image, when with the shadow and lights, I explore was what I was and what I am now after the migration situation or experience.
And that's great. Can you, is your piece in the little room?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
but
yeah,
but
inside
no,
there.
no, this room, another.
Not this room? Oh no,
No.
this is not yours. Do you remember? Is it in the back there?
Yeah, it's back there. Back there. No.
No. To the other side. Oh, look! Come forward again.
I don't know how can I explain where you is.
The entrance. Come on back. Yeah.
Traveling through virtual space is very difficult.
It's so hard.
So it's on the left hand side of the far back on the left, I believe.
Yeah.
The back of the room here, where there's a red piece on the wall. There's a red, back here.
In the left. No.
And then the left here.
Is that where on the black?
Yes.
Yes. In here. Beautiful. Thank you. Perfect. And
so yes, the process is was so interesting because I did those videos in my bedroom. I experiment with the lights, with the shadows, and with my own words that I want to say to other people that is that today is migrant, and my old I don't know, my old me that was a migrant too. I think that we were experimenting the communitary activism and collaboratory art. And I personally exploring how with my personal creations be able to transform my community and my context. And I think that all the participants in many ways could explore that. Valentina.
Juliana, thank you. That was brilliant.
Thank you so much, Juliana. These are, the works that both of you are presenting in this exhibition are both so deeply personal. It's really profound to me how much the participants, yourselves included, and others in the Colombian exchange, were able to really go inside themselves, especially when we think about how it all began. Wendy, you were talking about how we were really sort of looking outside ourselves when we started the experience, thinking about, what are these global movements of peoples that are underway right now, the Venezuelan migration into Colombia, also being an American artist going to Colombia, we can't escape the conversation about migration to the US, which you two are both sharing in your work. And I really applaud you both and all the other participants in AI Colombia for being able to move from that outward gaze internally and then eventually communicate something that I think we can all relate to in some way, no matter where we are on the planet. So really, really strong work. Like the other exhibition spaces, I really want to encourage folks to spend as much time as you can in there. It's well worth getting the Artivive app as well so that you can fully immerse yourself in these works. And I think so that we can just loosen up and have some time for casual conversation, I'm going to wrap this moment of exhibition tours Thank you, Valentina, Juliana, Wendy, so much for giving us all a little live stream action in your gallery space. Please hang out in the video lounge. You can exit this conversation and then start conversations with whomever you choose. And please do share more about your work and ask questions about everybody else's. And as we're making this transition, ciao, I'm going to invite in Barry Through to wrap things up here. Barry, what a day it has been.
Hey, how's it going? It has been a amazing day full of almost too many ideas to recount here. But you know, we thank you for that incredible presentation by your artists. You know, one thing I was going to ask is, you mentioned this a little bit, but just to recount some of the process of how your incubator program changed from, you know, due to COVID, and what the process would have been like, and what ended up happening, and sort of how that got dealt with, and how you ended up making these virtual spaces, because it seems like the artists did it all really fast. I'm just wondering if maybe you could sort of describe that process, because it was alluded to, but I think it's important to sort of get a context of kind of what happened here.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to fill it in. I mean, you know, the thing that I'm impressed with every year in the American Arts Incubator program is how fast people are able to work, no matter where they are. You know, we've worked in small villages in Ecuador, worked in Nepal during flooding, where our makerspace was literally like 2 feet underwater. All sorts of challenging circumstances over the years. And no matter what seems to strike, the participants always pull off these really incredible works given the short period of time. So I think it's a testament to, you know, the power of creativity when people are brought together, as what can be achieved in a very short period of time. So that 10-day period of production development that I mentioned is part of the full month incubator. You know, things start off with, as you can imagine, sort of introductory activities where the visiting American artist is presenting a bit of their work, getting to know and meet some of the people on the ground. And then they lead a series of workshops. So Wendy, Gabe, and Santiago, who you all met in the tours tonight, they each led about a week of workshop activity to teach some of these skills to participants on the ground. So for these virtual spaces, like this is I think for all the artists we heard from tonight, it was their first time working in either augmented reality in the case of Colombia, or working in hubs and creating work in 3D space and virtual space. So they learned the tools very quickly, and then had about 10 days to ideate, work together, and create the pieces you saw tonight.
Wow, it's an amazing testament to both the program and sort of the skill of the artists that they've been able to do that. Do you, and maybe some of the artists are here, we could ask this, but but do you have any idea of how this transition into doing something in a virtual space changed the kind of work or the conception of how the artists approached the work from what they were thinking previously?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of different cases I think that are displayed tonight. Like, so we started off with Brazil, the first tour that we did into the Retomada space. And with Brazil, we actually experienced, you know, both the in-person exchange, the emergency maneuvers required to reset and get our American artist who was visiting back to the US, and then continue in the virtual. And for that exchange, there was this kind of liminal experience where the artists had, you know, a deep engagement within the context of an exchange where they were all in the same room together for about a week. Then they dispersed, and they were able to take equipment with them because we'd already done some like transfer of resources and things. So people were able to take like 360 video cams and some other equipment home with them, and then venture out into the city and gather material from their city. So I think you noticed in that piece that we saw tonight, there was more footage taken out in public space. There was more content that just came from anything outside of the home, I guess you could say. Whereas the other two exhibits that were shared tonight all of the participants had to really work within their home space. This was literally produced during lockdown. So everybody was, mining their own experience, looking at what was around them, the materials they had with them in their own home. So there was a different kind of creative constraint given the lockdown than we would normally have, where I think in a normal year, there would be a lot of field tripping, spending time outside, roaming together as a group. And in this case, there were a lot more sort of personal, introspective works produced.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I think we'll kick it over to the lounges now and keep this discussion going here. For everybody that's still listening, please join us again tomorrow. Thank you today to Kalani and Tommy and all of our artists. Tomorrow we'll start at 11 a.m. Pacific with Lawrence Leck. Tomorrow has sort of a video game thread that's focused through all the kind of simulations. It's a fantastic day. We have Phase Zero at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and then La Turbo Avedon at 3 p.m. Pacific time with lounge sessions all in between. Of course, the Bin Inns virtual exhibition is open all day, and there'll be some, if you come in the lounges, we can give some more tours of that. And then 5 p.m. Pacific, we have another lounge session with the Buckminster Fuller Institute's Design Science Studio with Roxy Shosati and a bunch of artists from that group as well. Kalani will be joined tomorrow by Zaiba Jabbar from the UK, helping lead that session. We're excited about that. And I think in terms of, that's about all I got to say. Thanks everybody for joining today. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. And thank you, Shamshir and the ZERO1 artists for doing this session. It was a really fascinating group of work, and congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Good night and good luck, everybody.